All right, what's going on, guys? We've heard the age-old story of the team that was always good, but never good enough to get over that final hump, to make it to the promised land, to win an NBA Finals. And so they decide to make one final move to swing for the fences, and it ends up working in their favor. But we've also heard the age-old story of a team that decides to make a similar move just like that, and it ends up blowing up in their face. With the season getting farther and farther along, it's looking like these moves are more and more likely to be the ones that are blowing up in these teams' faces. But before we get into this video, if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure to smash that like button. And if you guys want to stick around, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're still on the road to 1 million subscribers. We're getting closer and closer every day. I can almost taste it. So make sure if you guys want to join the road to 1 million and join my community, I would love to have you. And lastly, make sure to comment your favorite offseason move that your favorite NBA team made this year. With that BS out of the way, let's get right into the video. And the first player that I think exemplifies this exact situation I'm talking about the most is Desmond Bane so far for the Orlando Magic. So in this past offseason, the Orlando Magic's main focus was to bring in more shooters because these last couple seasons, their defense has been elite, no issues there. But unfortunately, their three-point shooting has been absolutely abysmal, to put it bluntly. And so they went out and they traded for Desmond Bane, giving up KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. And so Desmond Bane was supposed to be the guy that they would bring in, and he was supposed to put them over the edge and make them a top 2 team in the East this season. And so far, we have not seen that. So far, the Magic are 10-8 on the season, and they're sitting in the 8th seed in the East. Now, there still could be a lot of shakeup in the East. The East is very close together right now, so every night people are moving. But still, the 8th seed for this team is incredibly disappointing. This squad gave away 2 players in 4 picks and a pick swap for this one guy that was supposed to make them a top team in the East. And so far, they just haven't been even close to there yet. Now, Desmond Bane, as a player so far, has been mildly disappointing for the Orlando Magic. He's averaging 17.4 points on the season with like 4 rebounds and 4 assists. But unfortunately, the shooting percentage has just been kind of lackluster so far this season, shooting 43% from the field and 34% from the three-point line. I'd like to see, him get that up a little bit. But at the end of the day, this trade is really scary for the Magic, and I've talked about the Magic a couple times on this channel so far, but it's like, the Magic have been a team these last couple years that have disappointed based on their preseason expectations every year. And so Desmond Bane was supposed to be the guy they brought in, and finally people were like, okay, this team's legit. And so at this point with the Magic, it's like, where do you go if you disappoint another year? If you, only make it to like a play-in spot and then get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, where do you go from here? Because you just gave up a ton of picks in your future for this one guy who really hasn't made much of a difference for your squad. And so if by the end of the season, the Magic are still, sitting at like a play-in spot and get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, they have to start looking internally in this squad. Whether that be the coaching staff, I know I've seen fans all over Twitter say the Magic need to fire Jamal Mosley. He's just not a good offensive coach. Or players. Really, the Magic have left these fans no choice because the last couple years it was three-point shooting. They bring in three-point shooters and they're still not as good as everybody expected them to be. And so we'll see if the Magic, can just keep slowly climbing up the Eastern Conference right now like they kind of have been since their really bad start. But if they stay stagnant like where they are in a play-in spot until the end of the season, there has to start being conversations with this Magic squad about like, okay, what is wrong with the team that we've already assembled? Now, I know I said Desmond Bane was like the poster child of bad acquisition of the offseason, but this guy might genuinely be giving him a run for his money, and that guy is Miles Turner of the Milwaukee Bucks. Miles Turner, just coming off an NBA Finals run with the Indiana Pacers, taking the OKC Thunder to 7 games. When the Milwaukee Bucks signed him, I was like, whoa, okay. You have Giannis and Miles Turner holding it down low. Insane rim protection right there. And I really thought Miles Turner could be a good replacement for this team who just lost Damian Lillard in the offseason. But so far, like, Miles Turner has looked like a shell of his Indiana Pacers self. Only 12.4 points and 6.6 rebounds on 43% from the field. This guy has been nothing compared to what Milwaukee expected and what Milwaukee paid for. Signing a 4-year, $108 million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, his disappointing play has been extra bad for the Bucks so far because the Bucks are kind of on like a shot clock right now with Giannis. You know, if you haven't heard, in the offseason, Giannis basically said like he's coming into this season, you know, determined to win with this team, to take them to where he wants them to go, which in Giannis's case is obviously winning another NBA Finals. But, you know, in 5 to 6 months, if he can't do that, he could change his mind and he could ask for a trade. And so the Milwaukee Bucks were like, all right, we got to make some moves. And Miles Turner was one of them to hopefully make the Milwaukee Bucks competitive in the East and just convince Giannis to stay around until they get a little more cap flexibility and a couple more of their own draft picks. Because right now they have like no draft picks. And so far, Miles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks have been disappointing this season. The Bucks are sitting in the 11th seed in the East right now at 8-10 at the time that I'm recording this. Now Giannis is injured, and so we'll see how the Bucks can do while Giannis is out. But it's like, if the Bucks are sitting in the same position come the trade deadline, I don't see Giannis, you know, wanting to stay anymore. Giannis wants to win. He's only getting older. So not only has Miles Turner been disappointing compared to what the Bucks paid for him in the offseason, but he also could be the move that sends Giannis out of Milwaukee, because he was supposed to be the guy to come in and still make this team, you know, a playoff team, a 4 or 5 seed in the East, like kind of where they were last year. And so far, he has done none of that. And now the last guy that I really want to focus on for this video has been Cam Johnson of the Denver Nuggets. Now in this offseason, we kind of all knew that Michael Porter Jr. was probably on his way out of Denver. He just didn't look like he had a future here. He kind of was disappointing last year, especially in the playoffs. He just didn't seem like he had it. And the Nuggets were looking to move on from him. And that came in a trade where the Nuggets sent him to the Nets with a first-round pick and got Cam Johnson in return. Cameron Johnson looked like a great MPJ replacement, being just as good of a shooter as MPJ, but also being a more competent defender than Michael Porter Jr. And so far, this trade has looked like a terrible trade for the Nuggets. Now, so far, Cam Johnson has averaged 9.9 points for the Denver Nuggets so far this season, on about 44% from the field and 36% from the three-point line. Now, I do have to say that Michael Porter Jr. for the Nets has been absolutely stuffing the stat sheet, averaging 24 points and 7 rebounds on 48% from the field. Now, honestly, Michael Porter Jr.'s stats really don't matter to me. He's on a terrible Nets squad where he's getting the highest usage percentage out of anybody on the team. It's not like he's back in Denver where he's basically corner sitting, waiting for open three-pointers and just catching and shooting. No, he's like the focal point of their offense. Obviously, his stats are going to be way inflated this year. And if we do see him get traded to a contender at the deadline, his stats are going to drop way off like they were over in Denver. But that still doesn't change the fact that Cameron Johnson has been incredibly disappointing for the Nuggets so far. I mean, he was supposed to come in and be the 3-and-D threat that, again, put the Nuggets over the edge above the OKC Thunder, who they lost to in 7 games in the playoffs last year. And it just seems like his shooting has taken such a drop in efficiency so far this season. We're talking about a guy who's been basically a 40% three-point shooter his whole career, and now he's dropped down to 36 in the season that means the most. Now, the reason why I'm not as upset with this move as I was with the Desmond Bane move and the Miles Turner move is because the Denver Nuggets are still elite as ever. Sitting at the 2nd seed in the West, they're sitting at 13-4. Obviously, a team with Jokic is going to be good. It doesn't matter who else is around him. He elevates his teammates so much. But I get nervous around playoff time, like if the Denver Nuggets were to meet the OKC Thunder again in a conference finals, and Cameron Johnson disappoints like how he kind of has this season, then all of a sudden the Nuggets have one less piece to take on this OKC Thunder squad and try and beat them. Now, I do think that the other offseason acquisitions that the Denver Nuggets have made in like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jonas Valanciunas have been great acquisitions and great guys that they brought in, but it doesn't change the fact that this team, to me, would have been better with Michael Porter Jr. so far than Cameron Johnson, and they also gave up a first-round pick. Now, the final offseason acquisition or acquisitions that I want to talk about is the entire LA Clippers team as a whole. The LA Clippers, the LA retirement home. I never once believed in this squad going into the season. So today I want to talk about 4 teams that I have, 2 in the East, 2 in the West, that I think are dark horse sleeper teams this year. So with that being said, the first team I have that I truly believe is a dark horse contender this year are the Los Angeles Clippers. And these offseason blunders start with them trading away Norman Powell to the Miami Heat. Norman Powell for the Miami Heat has been the reason they look so damn good this year. Basically playing like prime Klay Thompson, he has elevated this squad to a level that nobody expected the Heat to be at so far. And so that was a key player that they lost, but the players that they brought in have also been booty cheeks, bro. Bradley Beal, who they brought in on a way better contract than what he was on in Phoenix, started the season incredibly disappointing and now is out for the entire year because of an injury. John Collins, who they traded for from the Utah Jazz, his production has dropped to an all-time low. Just not getting up as many shots as he was in Utah, obviously, but also his efficiency and his three-point percentage especially has really dropped off. Brook Lopez, I thought, was going to be a really good backup center for the squad because he just came off another very serviceable year as a starting center in Milwaukee, and he hasn't really looked like much of a difference maker. And last but not least is Chris Paul, who I thought coming into the year was going to look pretty good. We've seen him now these last couple years in this backup point guard mentorship role, and I thought he was going to do it again over in LA. Chris Paul seems like a great point guard to have run your bench unit, and it just finally looks like the age is caught up to him. And if you haven't seen, he now says this is his last season, so now he's on his retirement tour. But Chris Paul has been really, really bad for the Clippers, like to the point to where Tyronn Lue is just not playing him because he's bad. Like, he's not injured or anything. Tyronn Lue is just like, dude, you suck. We can't play you. We're going to DNP you for the night. And so this was a team that a lot of people, including myself, thought were going to compete in the West. Maybe not for a championship, but like, be competitive in the playoffs. And they have had a disaster season. And unfortunately, because they're all old as dirt, there really isn't much they can do except just try their best this season, because nobody wants aging stars. They're not getting any better, and they don't have their first round pick this year. But yeah, I mean, all these players were players that they brought in expecting them to take them to the next level, but instead they took them to the next level, but they took them to the next level down. I can also do a video of some of the best offseason acquisitions we've seen so far. If you guys want to see that, make sure to like the video or comment down below like, hey, we want to see this, please make this video. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really had for this one. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you guys want to stick around, make sure to hit that subscribe. I'd love to have you guys in my community. And if you guys want to see another video from me where I talk about the crazy NBA trade rumors that have come up recently with LaMelo Ball and Anthony Davis, make sure to click this video right up here. It's a great watch, very similar to this video. So if you guys like this one, I think you'll like that one. But yeah, that's all I got for now, guys. So as always, peace and love.